Hi everyone. This video today we're going to be using the yoga tune-up balls. You can order them online, Yoga Tune-Up Fitness, or you can also contact me afterwards. If you don't have these, you can use your own tennis balls or any other balls that are for fascial fitness. These are dense and they're solid, so they work really well. Many of you have these, so we're going to go ahead and do a sequence that will help you just kind of release tension, maybe after working in front of the computer all day, gardening, whatever different activities we do that kind of create that tension. So let's go ahead and just drop one of the balls down and start with a little rolling on the feet. So just kind of bring yourself to your mat, clear your space of any distractions, and thank yourself for carving out this time. And you're going to be balancing on one foot and then just rolling on the other foot. So I'm just going to adjust the scene here a little bit. So you can go ahead and just balance on that standing foot and just start to roll from the heel to the ball of the foot. And just take a moment to attune or align your breath with this current moment. And notice what you feel here on the bottom of the foot as you're rolling. Also want to start to roll the outer edge of the foot, so the pinky toe side of the foot along that side. Do a few rolls there, finding your breath, finding your balance over this standing leg. And then getting into the inside of the foot as well. So rolling from that big toe down through the arch. Just all these little places that we wouldn't be thinking about, we're now thinking about. Then take a moment and plant the ball of your foot down. Kind of show this from the side. The ball is under my heel, and then I'm doing a little side to side motion, which is really good for breaking up any little tension in the heels. So many of us, just for whatever reason, it could be the shoes we're wearing, we get tension in the heels. I know I get that. Could be like even little bone spurs, things like that going on. This kind of tool will help just keep all of this smooth and broken up so there's nothing painful, hopefully, going on. You can also do circles. And then I love to roll across the arch. You're going to find yourself moving around a little bit, so just be free with this, be intuitive. And then planting the heel down and windshield wipering your foot side to side. So getting through the root of each toe. And then a nice toe stretch where you plant the whole foot down and kind of let your toes spread over the ball. And you'll notice it targets certain ones, so you might want to move and kind of just feel into where does each toe connect into the foot. And then I always like to roll my big toe a little bit more. This can be a tricky season for some of us with allergies. Right around the base of your big toe is where our sinus maps onto our foot. So you might just spend a little tension there. Also, the big toe correlates to the brain. So any nice movement or connection there feels good. And then let's switch feet. So we can stand onto your freshly rolled out foot and switch balls. And just take a moment to hold the other ball. The balls warm up, so we'll do the same thing here. Balancing on that foot that's already done, and then just rolling from heel to toe. So tuning in as you find your breath cycles, whatever is natural. Just allow yourself to notice going forward and back, forward and back. Getting the outer edge of the foot. I know some of us tend to pronate, some of us tend to supinate. These are just terms about how we stand on our feet. And you can notice if you look at your shoes and where the wear is on your shoes. I tend to stand a little more on the outer edges of my feet. So the outer edge of my shoe will wear more. These are just things to note about our gait, about the way that we stand. And so in this moment you can tune into that. Is that edge really tense and tight? And just breathe into it, give it this little attention. Also tune into the inner arch, that inside of the foot. Just take this opportunity to breathe, and then rolling just right through the center. You can go ahead and take a moment to just find your balance, and let's do the heel. Again, it doesn't really matter if you do these in the exact same order. I tend to just jump around and intuitively follow, but we'll try to do the same thing here. So going across the heel, side to side, because cross-laterally breaking up any tissue that might be tight, any stuff going on. So we can just tune into this day to day. Maybe you've done a long run or you did something different, and so you'll notice different things in your body. That little windshield wiper movement, so you're going to balance, plant your heel down, and then be kind of wiping side to side with your foot, feeling the root of each toe. And there's no wrong really to do this unless you feel some sharp pain, but any movements you want to do or add in, if you want to stay a long time in one spot, honor your body. Notice maybe this foot is different. I know for me this is kind of like I call it my tough side. My right side's like my tender side. So this side, for whatever reason, I feel like it needs a little longer. So let yourself take care of you. Again, that toe stretch, if you didn't do it, take a couple breaths, moments to just kind of be aware. And any spots, like you may notice, you may know the reflexology points, the map of the body on your foot, the organs and things. So if you feel into a spot and it says like, sharp or sends a message, maybe you back off. Maybe you actually are going to work there or just press and breathe. So once you've done both feet, let's drop that other ball. And then just kind of pretend these are going to be your high heels. So I want us to stand on each ball. So we've got the heels are lifted because the ball is under there. And of course, if you're not sure about your balance or you're recovering from anything, then be mindful about this, be careful. You could just do one at a time. This is just for fun and for balance. You just step on both balls and you're just going to kind of walk side to side. And you can actually start to walk kind of through the arch of the foot and then down onto your heel and lift your toes. This is optional. Okay, so I'm standing on my balls of feet now. The balls are actually under my heels. And then you start to walk it back. I feel the balls in the arch. Then I plant my heels on the floor and lift the toes. And it kind of just can be a fun stretch for the ankles. And you can also kind of do, I have the wall behind me, you can do a little in and out. So just be creative for a moment here. I'm just going to turn my music down. Okay, so once we've rolled out the feet, that's a really good way, because we're going to be doing some standing now. It's nice to just start with the foundation, start with the feet, kind of awakens the body. So then we'll take the balls. I just hold on to one ball, and also you want to break these in evenly. That's why we try to do one with each foot. So I'm going to be turning to face away, but I want to show you what we're going to be doing. We're going to start with rolling out the chest. So the pec muscles are here, and then these muscles go up and over and affect our shoulders. So we're going to be working both sides, front to back. Start with one side. I'm going to start with the left. It's up to you wherever you start, but we're just going to work that whole side at a time. So you'll put this between you and the wall. And you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm actually just using my own body pressure. I'm just rolling across. Make sure you're above the breast tissue or any discomfort there. We want to just be working this whole little front area. The further I step my feet away from the baseboard, the more pressure I can apply. The least pressure that I want, if I want less pressure, I just step closer to the wall. And then you're just stepping lightly on your feet, taking some breath, and rolling across your chest. And it's up to the clavicle. You have this bone here, so you'll keep rolling. You want to go up and be mindful of bones. You don't want to go necessarily on them, but you can go up to them and around them. And then you'll take it to the outer edge of your arm. So essentially you're going to start rolling this whole deltoid area, your muscles here. And you're just going to gently, we don't want to press too hard. You'll know what feels good. And you don't have to work it too long, but you can softly bend your knees a little bit and just get into that motion that feels good. And then once you've done your arm, you'll end up with the ball kind of behind your back and place the ball between you and the wall. So now the ball's right in my shoulder blade area, and I can start to just creatively move, following the structure of the bones, feeling kind of like where there's contours, and breathing. So sometimes I have to bring my hand up and catch the ball and move it to a more specific area. Just staying on the one side for now. And rolled the front, so that loosened up things in the back. Now I'm working up on the trapezius a lot. This is this area at the very top of your back where the muscles connect into your shoulder, connect into your spine. You don't really want to roll on your spine, but you'll feel like on mine I'm just left of the spine, depending on which side you're on. So just stay to the edge of where the spine is, where the soft tissue is. And any movement, so little circular motions are wonderful. And you can go up and down. You want to kind of break up any tightness. So any number of directions that you go will do a better job instead of just going in one direction all the time. Little diagonals. And then if you do find a spot where you maybe have a big knot and you just feel like, I just need to stay and lean, you could walk your feet out further. Just take a moment and let some of that pressure release by just staying with it, by pressing into the ball here. We're just kind of like a trigger point, right? Find that point. And maybe it's not even directly on the point. Maybe it's kind of around the point. And I'm going up onto my tiptoes a little bit because sometimes it just feels really good to like really, you kind of like flex your back against the balls and you can get some really nice movement and really loosens up. Now I like to also lift up the arm here and do this area under the armpit area. So it's going to be kind of tender here under the side. All these areas that aren't touched as much, and we do have glands there. So be mindful, but you can roll along here. This is really helpful as well. You get a little stretch in, maybe kind of guide your head away. All right, and then really kind of working, and you can even do this by hand. You can just take the ball and kind of roll it on your skin and even like twist out any little tight spots. So once you work that whole area, we're going to switch sides. So if you had been using one ball, switch it up and go to the other side and start with your chest. So tune into your feet, and then always kind of like softly bend your knees just so this is a nice fluid movement for you. And you're rolling across the chest first. So it could be different on this side, maybe more tender. Deep breaths, just slow, kind of conscious breaths. Thinking about how the tissue is connecting and into the bones, at what point. And then just rolling around to that outer edge of the arm. So that deltoid. And you can shrug a little and kind of bend your knees, like roll into it. So you're just keeping enough pressure that the ball doesn't drop, even though the ball will drop sometimes and you'll have to chase after it. But just kind of leaning into the ball and the wall, feeling this gentle massage for the skin. And then moving around to that shoulder blade area. So I always kind of start by holding it where I want it to be, which usually is in the inside of that wingtip area. And some soft tissue near the bone. But we're going along. I like to get right in there and start tracing along that area in the shoulder that always has tension. And I'm just starting up and down, just bending the knees, going up and down. But then you can start to move side to side. And again, don't be surprised, like I'm finding, this is my tender side. Yeah, I remember you. Hello. Hello, tender body. So just be kind and give yourself some grace here to find what you find, breathe with it, be with yourself fully. And this is also, this is the back of our heart, so just be mindful of anything that you know you have going on. And remember, those same kind of emotions, they can change. You can be up and down, side to side. Same thing with under the armpits. I like to even just like kind of move my hair and get my hand, place it behind the base of the skull, and that exposes that under part of the body that's usually covered, and you can roll out those muscles, the intercostals between the ribs. Not even so much on the ribs, really staying above that to where that soft tissue, there's glands of course, just a little bit of, I think, serratus muscle there. the breath moving, because this helps you really know that you're noticing and you're mindful, you're present in the moment. So once you've done both sides, and don't be surprised if one side is different than the other and doesn't need as long or needs longer, we're going to take both balls and hold them right there at the trapezius. And then I walk my feet a little. I kind of have to do a little like limbo here. Find the balls pressing against the wall, and then I'm able to walk my feet out a little bit. And I don't know if you guys can see, the balls are like peeking up. They're right here at the top of my upper back. And I'm being careful not to let them be on the spine, not on the bones. It's just this tissue, trapezius muscle. And I'm going to just do little movements there. And I've started out with them being kind of coordinated. They may not stay, and that's okay. You can always just place your hands behind and catch the balls, and then resituate them. But this for me, and this also can be done on the floor. That's a little more intense, but you might like it. So now I have both the balls. I move them in a little closer towards the spine, and I'm just going to keep dropping them down. So I let the balls kind of slide down till I can catch them, and then I start mid-back, and it's alongside either side of the spine, and we're just going up and down. This feels really good. And I have my heels lifted here just to give it a little bit more of like a leg work. And then I'm going to take the balls wider, so just so like an inch wider, and roll a little bit there, and then I start to hit the wingtips of the shoulder blades. So sometimes you have to move them often to really find. We're going to do the same thing in the lower back with working the front and then the back. So we're going to go back to the left side and start with your psoas. So your psoas is basically in your pelvis here, where your leg connects into your pelvis, creating what we call a hip. So same thing, we're going to start out with sandwiching that ball between our psoas muscle and our leg, or the wall, and then rolling gently. And it's not a huge area, and if you don't like the feeling of this, then just do this. Just do circles with your hand. Your own pressure can create enough for some of us. Otherwise, you might want to just get in there a little bit. And then we do the same thing. We're going to roll around the outer edge of the leg and the thigh, really the hip up here, zigzag down, and then I'll end up doing the leg too, but we'll get around to the lower back. So if you start on the side, you get to play with like this nice little chunky area on the outer edge of your hip. And this is a tight area, so be mindful, like breathe. If you're a runner, if you do a lot of sitting, right, this is going to be tight. So be prepared that the sensations may not be pleasurable at first. It's kind of hurt so good. You can feel that. And you can go as slow as you need to. And I'm actually rolling all the way from this very side around to my sacrum. So you can be creative with that shape. And again, you don't want to work too long in one area, because then it can actually bruise. So then when you've done that side, do the other side. Switch balls. The balls wear and they warm up when they get used, so it's nice to just work them evenly. So psoas muscle, this is the muscle in charge of lifting our legs. So every step we take, or if we sit a lot, it gets very shortened. So take a few more breaths, and then begin working into that outer hip. So going side to side across the hip, kind of crescent moon shapes, I think of it as, half moons. And just find your focus on your breath and follow the contours of your body. You can move the ball a little lower. We're gonna go lower in a minute with both balls. Right now, just kind of concentrating on that outer hip area, top of the glutes. Should have mentioned that before. We're going to go deeper into the glutes here now by adding the second ball. So take both balls and place them kind of near your sacrum, kind of near where your tailbone is, but on the soft tissue. And then when you stand up against the wall, put some pressure, walk your feet out a little bit, so the balls will stay where you want them to be. They should be on the glutes, the soft, fleshy part. And then you can just really have fun here. Taking breaths. I'm going side to side right now. Things will separate a little. They'll keep sneaking and moving, so you'll have to move around with them. But you're going to roll across, and then I can sometimes, without dropping the balls, If I keep them close enough, you can get some circular motion going. And try the other way. And the ball starts sneaking out wider and wider, and that's okay. But, so here we go. And this is an area you might find that you want to spend a lot longer. Just be mindful of how long you spend. Some people are tender, and sometimes you might almost sense a bruising in the future days, but hopefully if you just do enough, kind of, but not too much, you'll get just a good feeling of like aliveness and energy moving. I do like to work the IT band here, so we're going to be doing a zigzagging motion. I start at the top, and then you zigzag your way down the leg. So we'll start back on my left leg, and it's just below that little dip where your hip, I don't know what it's called, but it's a little dip where your IT band starts, that outer thigh. And then you just keep moving the ball inch by inch down. And I'm just using the pressure, a little bit of isometrics as I press in towards the wall. I feel the ball. And because I'm cross-fibering, this can be a little intense, almost tickly. You know, they say that tickle and pain are on the same spectrum or opposite ends of the spectrum. So be mindful that you might be sort of have those sensations coming up. You want to stop before you get to your knee. You're just zigzagging again. It's just kind of breaking up this very strong band of tissues, which is meant to be tense. It has to keep the integrity between the hip and the knee. So there's nothing wrong with you. Switch sides. Same motion. It's going to be this zigzagging down. And it's best if I just go side to side, you know, staying perpendicular with the wall. And I keep moving the ball down just an inch every breath or so. And again, you can honor that one side might be different, right? We have one leg longer than the other usually. This affects our stride, and this affects how we feel or hold tension in the body. Keep noticing your breath. Getting down towards the knee. We don't want to be on any bone, right? We just want to stop right before we get there. But you can feel that it kind of feels really good, for me anyway, today, to kind of work in that area. And then you can just take the balls and roll the hamstrings. And kind of up around the kneecaps just a little bit before we come down to the mat. We're going to actually put the balls back in their bag. So you can go ahead and find the bag. We create like a little mini foam roller here for ourselves. So again, if you're using your own tools, you could grab a tube sock and just go ahead and put that in. I'm just going to adjust the camera. Okay, so coming down to seated, you can use this now as like a little foam roller. Let's roll the calves out. So you take it and place your leg on top. Place your hands down, and then if you want, bend that knee and just lift your hips up a little bit. And you're just rolling your calf muscle on the length of your leg. So from the ankle up to the back of the knee. Take a few breaths. Notice if you're warming up. And then you may want to work some more. Let's switch legs. We'll come back to this. I'll show you another way. So bending that knee, press down, engage your core. Use your arm strength in the front of the body just a little bit. Try not to tense up here. And rotate your leg if you'd like. You can also do all this stuff with a foam roller. Just today's session, I'm focusing on using the balls. Same thing under your hamstrings. I mean, they are a little small, but you can still get a nice little roll out for the back of your upper thigh. So switching to that area. I usually do like 5 or 6 rolls in each area. This is not meant to take forever. So switch legs and just taking a breath. Rolling out those legs. And we'll just do, I think, one more. Take one ball back out of the bag. This I find to be a little bit more intense for the calf muscle, is to place it underneath, right at the bottom, a few inches up from your ankle. kind of where that split happens, there's actually two muscles there. So I'm just sitting in a kind of like frog leg or butterfly, half butterfly, this other leg. And then you may not even need to lift up. Like you might be able to just, I'm going to start with the ball lower. And it's kind of like a little side to side motion. And I would just say be really careful because it can be really tight. And just take a breath. Go a little bit there just to kind of break in between. And just see what you can do, maybe lifting up. And that's again, so rotate the leg out. Just kind of if you want to get your calves a little bit more, rotate the leg in. Okay, just for time's sake, I'm going to use the same ball. And you'll do that same thing on the other side. And you may have one calf that's different, that's tighter. I like to rotate the leg out. There's this little yummy, good feeling that happens on this meridian. I think it might be kidney. I might have that wrong. But feels really good. And then just getting in where there's two muscles, right? Two gastrocs in the calves. Getting that inside a little bit too. Okay, nice. So you could do all the things that we did at the wall on the ground as well. So if there was something, let's say I want to just end with this one thing, you can place those balls underneath you really anywhere. So I could lift up the hips and put them under the glutes. And this is actually a really nice place. So I've got my feet a little bit wide and I can do that same motion. So I want to make sure it's not on bone, it's on the soft tissue. And I can just do like a little side to side just to work a little bit more now that I'm grounded. So you can work there. And then my favorite area is the traps again. So sometimes I'll just spend a little more time tucking those up under those muscles. But it's a little bit intense for me, so I'll be honest, I don't spend a ton of time doing this. But just breathing and leaving them in one spot without moving. And then, maybe it is just one breath cycle, and then you can move them out. And then as always, just end with a little rest. So let yourself go into constructive rest pose, which I recommend just having the feet a little wider than your hip distance and let your knees rest against each other so it's easy. Place your hands on your pelvis or just out to the side. Close your eyes and notice how you feel as you take some deep breaths. And if you'd like to, you could even just extend your legs out for your corpse pose. And just rest here as long as you need. Just relax the back of the head down. Relax the whole front body down. Notice your breath coming in smoothly. Filling and emptying with breath. Making any adjustments to make yourself a little more comfortable. And give yourself permission to just rest. Maybe massage the forehead with the heels of the hands. Relaxing any tension in the eyes. And taking your fingers maybe just along the place where your hair meets, so it's like the hairline coming down from along this jaw, the mandibular, and massaging your cheekbones a little. Make some weird faces, scrunch it in. Nice exhale. Sigh it out. Continue the massage if you want, just a little bit down your neck, the base of your skull. Maybe a little head massage. Move your scalp a little bit. Notice if it's looser. This is a really good way to check in and see how tight we are. If our scalp can move a lot, that's actually really good. That means we're not too tight. And so then just find maybe a moment of stillness or a minute and really take as long as you need. And if it's bedtime for you now, you can slowly just take your time. Or if you're doing this in another part of the day, just give yourself plenty of grace and space to take however long you need to gently move on with your next activities. Just the least, take a breath of gratitude and thank your body for feeding back and for letting go of things that I might be holding on to. And thank you guys for joining me for this video. Have a good day. Namaste.